You better hide your baby, or
I'm just playing.
You better hide that big ass forehead.
I was just joking.
Let me start off by saying that I love the Fast and Furious franchise, but I can also be objective to what it's become. The franchise has been in an everlasting quarter-mile race with itself for the last 20 years. It went from investigating street racing criminals to becoming global outlaws to becoming spies and sending 2 platinum-selling artists to outer space. With 11 movies out and 2 more in the works, some will say that this franchise has exhausted every storyline short of aliens and multi-dimensions. They even repeat certain storylines such as the antagonist wanting revenge on Dom for what he did to their family member. Sadly, after all these years, this franchise has shifted. But before we go further, there will be heavy spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen at least the first 10 movies, keep the video up, turn the volume down, and go watch them. I need the views.
We getting paid, right?
The Fast and Furious movies were at their peak when Dom wasn't a law-abiding citizen. Having Dom on the opposing side of the law brought a special element to his character. Although he was a wanted criminal, Dom still possessed morals. He valued respect and loyalty, and would sacrifice his life and freedom for his family. He was an illicit criminal in the eyes of the authorities, but to the audience, his code of ethics trumped all his wrongdoings. Also, him being on the run made the stakes higher for everything he did throughout his reign. He had to strategically plan his next move to outwit the police and his enemies. Once that criminal element was demolished from his character, the entire dynamic of the franchise changed. And I won't say for the worse, but it's definitely being stretched out to the max.
it don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Fast 6 was the last time the franchise made sense to a certain degree. It was the last time we got to see Dom and the team operate as international criminals. Technically Fast 5 was, but in Fast 6 they were still wanted, but working with Hobbs to get pardons. And Fate of the Furious and Fast X doesn't count since it wasn't their choice to become criminals. Intent matters. Fast 6 felt like a final hoorah for the crew. We got to see members work with ones we wouldn't expect. Like, we expect Tej and Roman to be together, but we got to see Tej and Hobbs together. We saw Roman and Hans get their ass whooped at the train station. We saw Dom and Hobbs tag teaming on the plane. It was just rejuvenating to watch. In this movie, the team had an ultimate goal to accomplish, in which their livelihood depended on if they succeeded or not. There was either freedom or prison waiting for them at the end, so it was a gamble of a lifetime, even bigger than
going up against the most powerful guy in all of Rio.
Because there was not going to be any escaping if they failed. Hobbs had them dead to rights, and he's a man of his word. Had the heist in Fast 5 failed, they still would have been able to relocate, yet in this event, they would have nowhere to go. Hobbs is the type to make sure that these guys don't escape him again, just for his reputation alone. So there was a lot on the line in Fast 6. Then this movie ended, and the franchise got ridiculous. To its credit, the franchise did what it was supposed to do. With each new entry, they took it up a notch. The action elevated, the cast increased, more international locations represented. As those aspects of the movies were implemented, the story suffered, logic went further away, and backtracking plot points began. Remember how I said the stakes were high in Fast 6? Well, after that film, the stakes were pretty much non-existent, outside of, the world being destroyed. There was not a point in those future films where I believed that there was a legitimate chance the job wasn't going to get done. I felt like the franchise believed that most of its important stories had already been told, and they just wanted to put out empty action-packed series of movies with a central theme to capitalize on every time, bringing nothing new to the table outside of the diverting stunts in each film. It just seems like nothing mattered or nothing was permanent.
Dom, it's Letty. She's been murdered.
The death of a character meant absolutely nothing after Fast 5. Although I'm happy she's back, Letty's death had a major impact. It was literally the focal point of one movie and a grieving obstacle for Dom in another. Yet they brought her back and the emotion that was invested was completely wasted because it didn't matter anymore. Her return did bring a sense of satisfaction and garner new emotions since her and Dom had to fall in love again. So when Han and Giselle returns, it doesn't register the same because we've already seen it. The franchise is duplicating the same measures and expecting a fresh reaction. The only death after Fast 5 that still remains is Elena. But who knows, that could change too.
Your code is about family.
The Fast franchise adds too many new characters and has cameos that feel out of place. Like having Cardi B and Iggy Azalea, for example. Their acting is terrible and just momentarily took me out the film. That's just me being picky, so don't mind that. But the surplus of additional characters to the Fast family has gotten out of hand. They recruited Ramsey as a hacker when they already had someone for that job. They could have left her in Furious 7 and kept it moving. Now she and Tej are serving the same purpose. I guess it was their way to give Tej more action scenes. I don't know. Then they started turning the bad guys of previous movies into good guys. Deckard Shaw literally killed your friend. Well, he didn't because, death doesn't matter. But he did blow up your family home where he could have killed Mia and little Jack Jack. Yet you add him to the roster and give him a spinoff. Like, what the Then we have Jacob, Dom and Mia's Snow White brother, who we're still waiting on the DNA test results for. He was on board to be a part of literal world domination. Yet he's Uncle Jacob in Fast X, like his actions can easily be forgiven. These are just ways to keep popular actors around for more than one movie. Now, the one organization that has kept this franchise alive after all these years is none other than law enforcement. They are their own worst enemy and the reason why Dom and his crew were able to be notorious out here. The incompetence was unbearable at times. In the original, when Dom was trying to act normal after ditching his car, the cop literally calls his name and chases him. Even when he and Brian got away, why wouldn't they just show up to his house at a later time? Hell, they know it's him. Granted, he was under investigation, but at least put some pressure on him. At the end of the movie, when Brian let Dom go, Brian walks towards the approaching police officers. So how the hell does he escape them in order to go on the run? How about in the fourth movie, when Dom was just popping up all over LA and the police couldn't catch him not one time? He showed up to Letty's funeral. He's constantly at the house. Like, is there no police detail watching the residents? And he's showing up at meetings with Braga, racing and shit. And why did they bug Brian's car when he was undercover for Braga? Did they not think they were going to do their due diligence? Because they're hiring contract drivers. They don't even know these people. Or in Fast X, when they're in Rome and there's a big ass bomb rolling down the street, the cops decide stopping Letty and Dom is more important. The logic of law enforcement in this franchise is beyond laughable. So as I was writing the script for this, Fast X became available on Peacock, so I started watching that since I hadn't seen it. I think it's safe to say that the next two Fast and Furious movies will give us something to care about again. They're going back to where they started, essentially. Back to being wanted, back to having their backs up against the wall with their only allies being their family. I also think they're going to stick with bringing people back from the dead, so we'll probably see Jacob again. After all, if Han and Letty can survive a car explosion, so can he. As a side note, Tokyo Drift is near the top of the rankings list. It's literally the only movie that's focused on the art of racing. It doesn't get the credit it deserves, plus it has Bow Wow in it, and we all know all his movies are hits. At the end of the day, I'm going to continue to watch every single movie they release, no matter how ridiculous it becomes. The Fast and Furious movies have heart, meaning, and entertaining stunt scenes that will always be a staple in cinema. With that being said, let me know what you think of the Fast and Furious franchise. Where do you think they went wrong? Is there any hope to redeem this franchise, or does it even need redeeming? Also, rank each movie down below in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on the way out. Y'all be easy.